Three, two, one. I want to thank everybody for joining our viewing our video library exclusive of wealth.com. And we're really excited about the fact that we have in our studio live Melonie Gurley from Work Party Solutions. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about ways that we can deal with the situation we're in right now. Coronavirus, COVID-19 has really put the entire state on a stay-at-home mode. And because of that, people are struggling with the idea that, okay, how am I going to continue to pay my bills? Some total industries have been closed down, shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And so now people have to readjust what they're going to do with their lives, how they're going to get their livelihood back. So Melonie, what words of encouragement, what would you say to someone that's finding themselves waking up with no job, with no prospect of their industry coming back anytime soon?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have people in the restaurant industry, people in the travel industry, people that they're in the next 6 to 9 months, there might not be any opportunities for them. What would you say to someone in a situation like that?
Right. Well, good morning, Michael, and thanks again for having me. I just want to say that we're all in this together. Even those of us who may still be working right now, we don't know how long we're going to be working and how long we're going to be able to generate an income. And so I just want to encourage everyone that you are not in this situation by yourself, but we're all in it together. And not only are we all in it together, but God is in it with us. He saw this coming. He knew it was coming. It did not catch him by surprise. He is not in heaven wringing his hand, wondering what is he going to do. But no, he is actually there with us, here with us. And he actually is waiting on us to seek him in prayer. When we don't know where to go, when we don't know what to do, when we don't know where to turn, God is always there. And so I just want to encourage your viewers that now is not the time to panic. Now is not the time to give up, but now is the time to tap into your faith. And to reach out to God and to ask him, I don't know what to do in terms of finding work. There's so many millions of people that are in the market with me at the same time. And so I need your guidance. And so when you seek him, he will be found when you do that seeking with your whole heart. And so that would be what I would encourage your viewers to do right now.
That's good. That's good. And I hear you saying that it's important to be intentional right now with your faith, to be intentional with setting time to communicate to God. He knows the beginning and the ending.
Yes.
So why not go to the source of all wisdom and knowledge?
Exactly.
And I think I also hear you say that there's a sense of peace that you can get in the midst of a storm. So as things are happening around you, or people are panicking around you, because you have this peace, and because you're communicating with God, he gives you this peace that, hey, he's going to take care of you in the midst of this.
Right.
So number one, be intentional about your spiritual life. Be willing to set time aside each day. And you got time now to do it.
Exactly.
Slow down, slow your pace down. Make God a priority. Make intimacy with God a priority. And start spending time with him, and he can give you the peace that you're looking for. Now, once you get past that, what else can a person do once they start that process of spending time with the Lord? He's giving them that peace. They realize that there's God has them. What other steps in your mind would a person take after that point of having that spiritual connection?
Right. I would remind us that prayer is not just a one-way communication. Prayer is you talking to God and you pausing long enough to hear him speaking back to you. And so I would say that after you've prayed, to listen, listen to what God is actually speaking in your heart. Um, Watch for evidence of his response to your prayer. And when you see and when you hear those things, then act on those things. And I will kind of share a quick story of something that's happened to me in my life. Um, when I was pregnant with my son, I actually went through a period of unemployment. And early on in my pregnancy, I felt this sense of urgency to find a job before I started showing. Because in my mind, no one was going to want to hire a pregnant female because they knew that I would not be, on the job for very long. Well, I had a sense of urgency, but I really wasn't pressed because I had years of experience and I had education under my belt. And so I was relying on those things to help me to land a job quickly. But what God did was he allowed my unemployment to drag on and on and on for weeks and for months until I got to the place where I was showing. And until I had gotten to the place where I knew that it was not just my education, it was not just my experience, it was not just my network that was going to help me to land the job, but it was literally going to have to be the move of God to actually, open the door of opportunity for me. And so once I had exhausted pretty much my options, for job opportunities in my field, I started applying for any type of job, anything that I could do because I was just so desperate. And then when that dragged out for so long, it's like I came to myself and I prayed and I said, God, I've done everything that I know to do. And, unless you move, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm pregnant, I need to work, the needs, and so I really need for you to show me what you would have me do. And in my crying out to God, I really felt that he impressed upon me to reach out to a temp agency. And now there are hundreds of temp agencies. And so I'm like, okay, God, which one? So even though I felt like he had given me direction, I had to press him to be even more specific, like, okay, which temp agency do you want me to pursue? And he guided me. And I did what he, impressed upon me to do, which was go to the closest agency, to where you live. I did that. And lo and behold, I was sent on a temp assignment that lasted until a week before my son was born. And so after I had my son and I was ready to return to work, after, 6 weeks or so, when I started to look for a job, I found a job instantaneously. And so what I learned from that experience is that we rely on everything else but God. And God allows us to go through crisis situations because he's trying to bring us back into relationship with him and into dependency on him. And so I just hope that personal story and testimony encourages someone.
Yeah, that encouraged me just hearing you talk about that, because I'm hearing you say after praying, seeking God and getting your faith, there's a part where you have to actually listen to God.
Yes, yes.
There's a moment where you say, God, speak to me.
Yes.
And also what I heard, but you didn't really bring it out, I want to bring it out, is that not only did you listen to God, you actually executed what God was telling you. Sometimes God will speak to you. That means you got to execute. There's some action on your part.
Exactly.
If you're sitting at home watching TV every day on shows, Lord, speak to me, and you're not moving out, there was a lot of action, a lot of movement on your part to make this happen. And so some people really need to understand that once God speaks to you, then you need to get busy.
Exactly.
You have to
Exactly.
execute what
Yes.
happens. And so
Mm-hmm.
the part of God speaking and then executing, moving
Mm-hmm.
forward, the doors open for you. And
Yes.
that was a great
Yes.
thing to do. So once God speaks to you, you've got that, okay, get busy
Mm-hmm.
doing what you need to do
Mm-hmm.
to make it
Mm-hmm.
happen. And
Yes.
then
Yes.
keep faith as you move forward.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so a person now realizes that, okay, I'm listening to God. He spoke to me. I'm listening. I'm doing my thing. Okay, so they might land a job
Right.
right now. Is there anything a person could be doing? Maybe this is not the job I want, but there's something
Mm-hmm.
that's going to help pay
Mm-hmm.
the bills.
Mm-hmm.
How would you encourage someone to prepare for something to transition into something else that they really want to do? I'm just paying the bills now. Hey,
Right.
I
Right.
got to.
Right.
I really don't want this
Exactly.
job, but hey,
Exactly.
bills got to get paid. So,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
um, I, so, what would you encourage a person? I remember starting my business years ago, and just to share a little story. And I had got into the insurance industry, was really excited about it, but I was working strictly commission. I've worked strictly commission
Mm-hmm.
all my
Mm-hmm.
life.
Wow.
And so for the last 30 years in this business, it's been just up and down. And one of the things that I had to do initially was, because there were still bills that needed to be paid.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
wife was basically at home with our children at the time,
Mm-hmm.
homeschooling. And so everything was like falling on me. So I ended
Right.
up working that job, but at the same time, I also, as a musician, played on the weekend at different
Mm-hmm.
churches,
Mm-hmm.
which allowed income to come in. And I did that for 7 years. And then also, in addition to that, because that wasn't enough, these little, people talk about multiple streams of income. Well,
Right. Right.
these were drops of income. They weren't streams. They were little drops, and you can't live off drops. And so I had these little drops of income. But I'm gonna tell you, those little drops of income, I also had to work as a janitor at night.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I had 3 different drops of income coming in. And my faith in God made those drops stretch to streams.
Yes.
He really
Yes.
did it. And when we look back, my wife would look back, we would say
Mm-hmm.
to ourselves, just
Mm-hmm.
looking back, how did we ever make it through those
Right.
times?
Right. Yes.
And it was like you said, we trust God.
Mm-hmm.
We actually got involved. We did what God was telling us to do, and we made things happen. But we didn't sit
Yes.
back and just pray. We actually put some action with that.
Right. Right.
And so what I'm hearing you say is you got to do something. But if you're doing something, I didn't really want to clean offices my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love music was a passion. I still do it now, but it wasn't something I want to just stop and do full time.
Right. Right.
I had other gifts. So how do you segue into something you really love? Because that's what, you talk about, is finding your purpose,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
finding something that just drives you. So how do you segue a transition into something like that?
Okay, so that's a loaded question, Michael. And I could spend so much time. And my mind is going in different directions in terms of how to respond. But I will say this, trust that God knows what he's doing. And God has you exactly where he wants you, because God needs a witness everywhere. And so you might not be where you want to be, but God might want to use you as a witness in that environment. So keep that in mind, number one, that what you're going through is not just for you, it's also for others. And so God may need a witness. And so you want to be mindful that you do that. And so when you are working in jobs that are just that, they're jobs, it's you making money to keep a roof over your head and food on the table. Don't do it grudgingly, because others are watching how you do your work. And you always want to be working in a way that's pleasing and honoring to God. Um, and it's oftentimes in working jobs that we really don't want to do, but we're just doing them because we have to, that it causes us to say, this ain't it. this is not where I want to be 10 years from now. And it causes you to start to think about that type of work that you do want to do. And so when you find yourself thinking, this is just a job for now, I know after the coronavirus, the COVID-19 crisis is over, I know that I'm not going to want to continue to do this. Well, think about what it is that you do want to do. What do you wish that you were doing? And when you can find those types of answers, then I would say if you haven't already prepared for that type of work, that now is the perfect time to start preparing. We've got so much more time on our hands right now. And so there are podcasts, there are free online classes, there are, you know, books that you can access audibly, um, online as well. So now is just a ideal time to be equipping yourself for the work that that you want to do once this crisis is over. So that would be my response to that question.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited because when you first started sharing with our audience, you reminded them your walk of faith is so important right now.
Mm-hmm.
You look out and you see things happening, really start to schedule time to have intimacy conversations with God to speak to you. And then the second thing you said, be willing to listen to that small voice that's speaking to you and to move to actually execute what you're aiming to do. And then finally, what I'm hearing you say is that once you get the job and you're paying the bill, in order to transition, start looking at the amount of free time you might have because of all the resources that are around you. In order to equip yourself for the future,
Yes.
you got to really be willing to sit down and spend some more time training yourself, learning more. I heard someone say that you earn more when you learn more.
Yes.
So you got to learn some different strategies to become more, have more skills and be able to market yourself. The more skills you have, the more abilities you have. The fact that, I'm a musician, that skill is something that I can take out to the marketplace and leverage.
Exactly.
And so that's the skill I have. The fact that I'm willing to work, that's one thing you said, the attitude that you have, being willing to do something you don't really want to do now, but the fact that you're willing and you have an attitude of a positive attitude. You go to work, doing the best you can, being a good steward while you're there, working the floor, getting to work on time.
Yes,
working all the ways to your full of your ability, and then having a good attitude while you're there. So those are the kind of things you need to do to equip yourself to transition into something to your future, because that might not be where you're going to be now, but your future is going to be coming and being able to transition into that. Melonie, some great points here. I thought this was a great session. Could you wrap up everything you said here today with some closing words for us to take with us? And thank you again for, taking the time to, spend with us and share with us all your talents and resources that you currently have. Final words.
Sure. Thank you so much, Michael. I always enjoy being on with you and sharing. And I think just in closing today, this week, I just want to again encourage your viewers that we're all in this together, and that God is with us, and there is no limit to what He can do. And just to be mindful that it is God who opens doors. And so whatever job you find yourself in, don't take it for granted, because that's a door that He could have kept closed to you. But for reasons that only He knows, that He may choose to reveal, He has you there for such a time as this. And just take advantage of the time that we have to just learn and to grow, so that when we get past this crisis, you will be poised to actually act and move toward purpose.
Right, great. Thank you so much again. I'm really excited about our future sessions we're going to have at our Stewardship of Wealth video library series featuring Melonie Gurley from Work Priority Solutions. Melonie, thank you for being here, sharing your insight with us. And we believe here at Stewardship of Wealth, it doesn't matter if you earn $5,000 a year, $50,000 a year, or $500,000 a year, you can become a better steward of your wealth. And we define wealth holistically. We say wealth is not just the finances, but it also has to do with your talents, your gifts, and your ability. How are you taking care of those and developing those, as well as the time that you have. Right now, with COVID-19, we have a lot of time available.
Yes, we do.
How are you taking advantage of that? So remember, keep praying, keep believing. With God, all things are possible.
Amen.